Let's open with a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer. Serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I want to welcome everyone to the Atlanta Step Up Society Big Book Study. Change your thinking, change your life. You know, last week we was fortunate enough to celebrate Erica's first year of recovery, and I think it was real nice. In fact, it was special. Let me tell y'all something before I get started. You know, we do the CDs, right? And it was like my vision, or in my imagination, that these CDs can go out. You know, this book study, it's not about me and my ego, but the book study, because I know this book study saved lives. And it was like a vision, like, what if we put the book study like on CDs and on DVDs and just let it do its thing? And I'm honestly here to tell y'all, I get calls, especially upstairs. We have a telemarketing division upstairs, really. We got telemarketing software. We call all over the city. I can even pull up, Eric, I could pull up your street right now. Tell you everybody who live on your street, what their telephone numbers are, and how much money they make. Seriously. We can do that. People have been calling upstairs, calling me from all over the place. They go on our website. If you ever go on the Atlanta Step Up Society website, you can see these DVDs. We download, you know, a few periodically. And we be getting calls like, a guy called me the other day, said that he was in New York. And he typed in on YouTube 12 step, and we popped up, you know, step up. And he started looking at the DVDs like at 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. he was still on it. We had another lady call. She was saying that she's not even an addict. She spent like 8 hours watching the DVDs. So that's telling me that the message can be carried not only in the fellowship, not only through the books, but also digital. That makes sense? Yes. There's a lot of digital information out, and I've been studying them, but I don't think they're as authentic as ours, because nobody like to tell their story. I don't care who knows my story. Anybody ever been around me gonna know it anyway. It's not a secret. You know, they'll tell you the history of the book, or they'll tell you what's written on the pages. To me, I think a story of a person's personal story is more effective than just the history of the book. That makes sense? I think stories or a person's life is what affects other people. So I'm an open book. I'm an open book. Plus, I understand the thing about anonymity, because I study. It says in the book that the reason they did the anonymity is because they didn't want their professional lives to be in jeopardy of saying that they was a member of AA. That makes sense? And what they're really saying is, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I got clients. It's too new in the game to tell my clients I'm an alcoholic. They didn't even have recovering in it. You know what I'm trying to say? It was just alcoholic, and I'm a member of AA. If you got 500 clients and you're a doctor, you put that out, tomorrow you go in your clinic, how many you got? None. So I understand the anonymity of it. It's not my job to snitch on nobody. I don't care. I can lead a meeting Somebody asked me that such and such was he at to me, and I don't know. You want to find out? You go. You know, I do it like that. But my life is an open book because my life can help someone change their life. Then that's the will of God for me. It's not a secret that I'm an addict. It's not a secret that I did drugs. It's not a secret that I was an alcoholic. Not at all. That makes sense? Tonight, what we're going to do is kind of go back before Erica's birthday, and we was talking, we were studying The Exceptional Man. That's a good CD, y'all. Get it. $5. That's a good one. The Exceptional Man. And what we was studying was this guy, he was using, stopped drinking, did 25 years, opened up a business. To make a long story short, when he retired, he went back to drinking. And we found out that the disease that he had 25 years prior was just alive. As soon as he started back drinking, it came alive back in his life, right? And he was dead in a short period of time, right? And then we went to the part about the peculiar mental twist. And we was talking about what the book is getting ready to do on us. We're going to kind of leave the physical allergy and start focusing on the obsession. That makes sense? Because the disease is in two parts. It's physical and mental. But our main problem centers in our mind. If we can get the obsession out of our mind, you don't have to worry about the allergy because you won't put it in. That makes sense? The allergy part is academic. Nobody in here right now is craving for another drink. But we did one of the little tests, go out and get everybody a beer. We all gonna be craving 30 minutes from now. That's the way of our allergy. There's no secret. We have tried it over and over and over, and it's been proven right that once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic when it comes to the disease of addiction. That makes sense? We'll never cure it from that. We done try everything under the sun to try to return back to a normal drinker and failed. The only cure for us is entire abstinence and the 12 steps. That makes sense? That's the only way you're going to make it. All right? Then we did the peculiar mental twist. When we start talking about these little themes or ideals we had that was centered around drinking. All right, and I've been thinking about that for 2 weeks. I had all kind of little stuff. Like when I said I said 2 weeks ago that even washing clothes, I had to have me some alcohol. It made no sense to go and wash a load of clothes at the laundromat unless I had a six-pack. It made no sense to go to a party unless I was drinking. It made no sense to wash my car without a six-pack. It made no sense to cut the grass without a six-pack. So as I started thinking about this, because like I told y'all, every time I have done this study, and I know I have done over, in the last 20 years, I know I have done 100 book studies from, the first 164 pages. And I can honestly tell you, every time I do it, I get a new wave of spirituality. A new wave of information. For the last 49 times I did the book study, that peculiar mental twist, I never gave it a thought. I never thought about it. Well, they hit me this time. That makes sense? And you gotta help that stuff come out of me. If you want to really learn this stuff, teach this stuff. Then I started thinking, all the little mental twists that I had centered around alcohol and drugs, there's nowhere in the world I was not going to be an alcoholic. Because I can come up with 50 things I did that had alcohol in it. That makes sense? That was everything I did. I saw a guy the other day. I was going to the gas station early in the morning on my way to work. I stopped at the gas station. I went to the gas station. He was grabbing a bill. This 7:30. I said, he got that peculiar mental twist. And he had on a government uniform, you know, like the city worker. I said to myself, he thinking that he gonna have a better day because he started out with a beer. I remember that mental twist. I remember that. I remember that thought. You know, what's the point of going to work unless I got me a beer or two in me? That's and I know he finna drive the trash truck, you know. he was suited up. He was ready to go to work. He had to have that beer. That's what I mean. You take those things right there and then multiply them. How many you had? There's no way. No, you're not exempt from being an alcoholic. You know what I'm saying? It's in the mind. That makes sense? All right. Tonight we're gonna start on page 34. You got to probably put up something right up here or over there, something right over there. I like for Mike to read. You know, it's hard. It's really hard to read this thing and kind of break it down. That makes sense?
You got to go around that way.
Well, no, you can go right through there. It's live. We're going to start at the top as we look back. This is a good study tonight. A very good one.
As we look back, we feel we had gone on drinking many years beyond the point where we could quit on our willpower. If any one person's whether he has entered his dangerous area, let him try leaving liquor alone 1 year. If he is a real alcoholic and very far advanced, there is scant chance of success. In the early days of our drinking, we occasionally remain sober for a year or more, becoming serious drinkers again later. Though we may be able to stop for a considerable period, you may yet be a potential alcoholic. We think few to whom this book will appeal can stay dry anything like a year. Some will be drunk the day after making their resolutions, most of them within a few weeks.
All right, this is more about alcoholism, page 34. As we look back, we feel we had gone on drinking many years beyond the point where we could quit on our own willpower. What they're talking about is that in every career, alcohol career, every alcoholic has a thin line. I don't know what year it is for you or what day it is, but there's a line that we cross over. You know what I'm trying to say? All the using we do, there's a line that we cross over into real alcoholism, where it becomes a necessity. That makes sense? Once you cross over into that dangerous zone, nothing humanly possible can bring us back. It has to be a power beyond, or higher power, spiritual power, greater than us. That makes sense? Nothing. You can't go to a doctor and say, look, doc, I've been using crack for the last 5 years. I'm homeless. I'm a skid row bum. Humanly possible. Can you give me some, like, cough syrup to drink to stop me from gigging? Do you have a shot that I could take to make me quit? Can you isolate me somewhere? Well, I can't do it anymore, longer? No. It has to come from a power greater than us. That makes sense? Our own willpower cannot stop me. Once that craving, that allergy, and that obsession is in me full blown, I cannot stop with my own mind. That makes sense? I can't do it. All right. If anyone questions whether he has entered this dangerous zone, let him try leaving liquor alone for 1 year. If anybody don't believe this, and we have had some people that don't believe this. We had a guy in our treatment facility. He been gone about 3 months now. I didn't know it, because I would have known he would have gone 3.5 months ago. But he will walk around telling people, Robert and them don't know what they talking about. They don't know nothing about this. I know everything about it. You know where he is. He got drunk. So, the book is full of tests to try to convince you that if you don't believe what we said, give it a try. That makes sense? Try it. We already know ain't nobody in here gonna leave no alcohol alone for no year. Unless you in a program and you got some recovery. If he is a real alcoholic and very far advanced, there is scant chance of success. In the early days of our drinking, we occasionally remain sober for a year or more, becoming serious drinkers again later. You know, I remember that for me, like in my military days, there was times of sobriety. Even though we drank hard, if we went to the field for 2 or 3 months and we wasn't around alcohol, I didn't drink it. I've been to like some very, very intense schools. If anybody was in the military in here, you know about, remember like chemical school? You ain't drinking in chemical school. Because if you flunked chemical school, you flunked out the army. Am I right? There's certain educational, am I right? School that you go to, if you flunk out of it, they kick you out the service. It ain't no go back to your unit. Pack your stuff, your family pack, and go home. Go back to Georgia. You call it ATL, that's where you headed. You going home. So it wasn't no playing around in some of them courses. You did not drink. Am I right or wrong? So we had periods of sobriety. But even though I didn't put it in my body, my mind was fully alive. It was waiting on the day. You talking about having faith? Faith without works is dead, right? My mind was full of faith. All the mental twists, they were going haywire. Well, I can't wait. When I get to washing that car, I'll go drink me a six pack. You know, I remember one time coming in out the field, and I ain't have like 2 hours. 2 hours on base, and then we're going right back to the field. One of them excursions, you know, where I came in and had to go right back out. I never forget that. I bought a 6. I was craving so bad. My mind was obsessing so bad, I bought a 6-pack of beer. I ain't having no time now. And 6 Snickers, candy bar. And drank the beer and ate the Snickers at the same time. Right back to the field. I was sick. I mean, yeah. I had a Snicker and a beer. And went right back to the field. My mind, even though my body was sober, my mind was in full play. That's faith. If you're gonna talk about faith, I had it in my imagination that I was gonna drink me some beer. If it took 6 months to get to it, faith was there 6 months, alive. It was alive. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It says that though you may be able to stop for a considerable period, you may yet be a potential alcoholic. If that mental twist is in your mind, even though you ain't using, that's a potential alcoholic. Am I right or wrong? Because you can't let it go mentally. Can't let it go mentally. We think few to whom this book will appeal. They talking about us. If you say, well, I like that book, you know you something else. Can stay dry anything like a year. Some will be drunk the day after making their resolutions. Most of them within a few weeks. I told y'all the story about how I had a big picnic at my mother's house. And I announced to everyone that I was going to stop drinking and using. And that was my whole plan. I had it all planned. I planned that thing for 2 weeks. I had like a big family reunion. And my mother had a balcony like that, you know. And you could stand over the balcony and everybody else is out on the ground, you know, in the backyard. And I stood on the balcony and I told everybody I've made amends and I'm sorry and I'm changing my life. I'm giving it over to God and I'm not going to use no more. I did like 10 minutes of that. That night I was lit up. But I can honestly tell you, I really did mean it. I really meant it. I know how we're going to get it accomplished, but I really did mean it. That makes sense? All right, next chapter. Paragraph.
For those who are unable to drink moderately, the person is out to stop altogether. We are assuming, of course, that the reader desires to stop. Whether such a person can quit upon a non-spiritual basis depends upon the extent to which he has already lost the power to choose whether he would drink or not. Many of us felt that we had plenty of character. There was a tremendous urge to cease forever. Yet we found it impossible. This is the baffling feature of alcoholism as we know it. This utter inability to leave it alone, no matter how great the necessity or the wish.
All right, for those who are unable to drink moderately, remember we had the different classifications? Right. Hardcore drinker, the moderate drinker, the one who could take it or leave it alone. For those who are unable to drink moderately, the question is how to stop altogether. We're assuming, of course, that the reader desires to stop. You know, you do have to have an honest desire to want to quit. Well, I'm not even going to say honest, just a desire to want to quit. Whether such a person can quit upon a non-spiritual basis depends upon the extent to which he has already lost the power to choose whether he will drink or not. I know for a fact, after thinking about the mental twist that precedes drinking, I know I had lost the power to choose. That makes sense? My mind was, it was on. It was lit. I don't know the proper mental terminology for it. It was wide. It was open-minded alcoholism. It was fully alive. It had a lot of thoughts that were pertaining to drinking. That makes sense? So the power to choose to quit did not even exist in my true mind. That makes sense? I might came up with a decision that my butt got skinned a little bit that I might need to stop. But the true me, the inside me at that time was full-blown alcoholism mentality. That makes sense? So can Robert quit on a non-spiritual basis? No. That was my spirituality. That's all I thought about. They became my God. That makes sense? That's why I love this program. I'm going to just go off the page for a minute. That's why I really love this program. You take a person like me who was brought up to believe that there's a punishing God. A God that'll strike you dead, doom you to hell, for everything you do wrong. Then I had the church that I attend. You had to pay tithes and, you know what I'm trying to say, do this and be there on Sunday. So everything I tried to do, if I got it wrong, I was going to hell. That makes sense? And the punishing God that I believe in, we're going to make sure I stay there in eternity. That's what I love about this program, because those beliefs are gone now. It took this program to change me to see that there's a loving and caring God that's in me, that's able to take me from that bondage of hell and give me eternal life. This program did that for me. Because I didn't have that way of thinking. I was scared of everything. I don't know about nobody else. But if you scared to walk down the street because you didn't tired, you in bondage. Your mind is in jail. Oh, I fought it today in church. I'm going to hell. That's how scared I was. Yeah. So I'm not saying anything. I just know that this program, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot of love. It takes a lot of work to change somebody that had that kind of thinking like me to become free. To me, that's what I call salvation. Okay. That makes sense? Yeah. Because I had it bad. I was scared of everything. I was scared. I was scared. So it says that whether a person can quit upon a non-spiritual basis depends upon the extent to which he has already lost the power to choose whether he will drink or not. If your mind is so far gone with alcoholic thoughts, I don't know if you're going to be able to do this without some spiritual help. That makes sense? And I ain't talking about sanctified help. I'm talking about change in your thinking and some love from the people around you. Simple stuff. It's not complicated. It says that many of us felt that we had plenty of character. Character is like you got all this package and you set aside, you different from everybody else. You got it going on. I know I had that. Because I was a military officer when they didn't have black military officers, but a few. If Mr. T, what's his name? Back when they had that movie.
With the mohawk.
18?
No, he was a military officer and he was a lawyer. He went to defend some people. Mr. Tibbs. And he was humble. I was in the same uniform, I was cocky. I mean, how could you not be cocky? I'm a man from Southwest Atlanta. Go to school, Southwest. Go to school at the University of Maryland, get commissioned in the Army. I go walk through the door. If there's 50 people sitting in here, when I come through the door, everybody says, 10 hut. Everybody stand up. I have to say, at ease. Boom! Head bigger than the damn room. Oh, that's nothing. That's nothing. Going on, driving on post, drunk as a skunk. Good morning, sir. Carry on. That's nothing. You know what I'm talking about. Here's a big one. Who's in the Navy? Every time, that's why I like to go on the Navy base. I had the uniform on. When I cross the threshold, go across from land, put my foot on that boat, I don't care if it was big as this block, what they do. Attention on deck. Also Barber on here. If there was a God, it was me. That's how I felt. It was me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Ego bigger than Walmart. Yes, sir. I used to fly. I told y'all this. Back in the day, I used to go down with my uniform, and if I got to fly somewhere, I go on the Delta or one of the flights, they put me up front with the pilot. I stayed about 20 minutes when they take off. There wasn't no alcohol up there with the pilot. I politely excused myself. It made mental twist. It made no sense to fly sober. Y'all the pilot, y'all do that one. I'm a passenger. Go to a concert. This is mental twist. I love this now. See, I didn't have this until y'all was talking. I remember Ron and Jet, and y'all said some things up there, and I heard it. That makes sense? Yeah. I remember this. I used to go to concert. You know, they say, wave your hands in the air, party over here, party. I look at it, I come to enjoy this. You the artist, you on stage, you getting paid for, you wave your damn hands. Give me a drink. If you got all them kind of mental twists, my point is, when you got all that going on in your head, you're an alcoholic. Yeah. Whether you think so or not. There's all that staring up in your head every time you go somewhere, you do something, you're an alcoholic. And if you in here and it's still stirring up in your head, you need to raise your hand. Grab a sponsor, something fast. Because I'm telling you, that's alcoholism. Yes, sir. All right. It says that there was a tremendous urge to cease forever. I saw something that was, did it say something about quitting? No, not yet. There was a tremendous urge to cease forever, yet we found it impossible. This is the baffling feature of alcoholism as we know it. This utter inability to leave it alone, no matter how great the necessity or the wish. No matter how big the wish is and how important it is to quit, we couldn't do it. That makes sense? We couldn't do it. We did not have the power to stop on our own. How then?
How then shall we help our readers determine to their own satisfaction whether they are one of us? The experiment of quitting for a period of time will be helpful, but we think we can render an even greater service to alcoholic sufferers and perhaps to the medical fraternity. So we shall describe some of the mental states that precede a relapse into drinking, but obviously this is the crux of the problem.
That's what I've been kind of talking about, right?
Right.
See, I don't make this stuff up. Yeah. It's in here. It's in here. That makes sense? Yeah. And you guys are disciples. So when you go back to your meetings and you go back to your sponsees and you reading the book, you can kind of like look in your book and remember some of this stuff and pass it on. That makes sense? Yeah. It says that, how then should we help our readers determine to their satisfaction whether they are one of us? The experiment of quitting for a period of time will be helpful, but we think we can render an even greater service to alcoholic sufferers and perhaps to the medical fraternity. Not only do they want to help us, they want to help the medical fraternity, the medical society, get a little bit of this stuff right too. Am I right or wrong? Is that what it's saying? See, them guys who wrote their book wasn't scared. They didn't really bite their tongues, did they? No. They were serious about this alcoholism and recovery. They didn't bite their tongues. They told the truth. There's a lot of questions, but the experiment of quitting for a period of time will be helpful. That's the one they're talking about up above, quitting for a year. See, one thing for sure, our 12-step program is not a program about quitting. We're not trying to quit using. We're not trying to quit drinking. We're not trying to quit doing drugs. Because we have tried quitting a long time. For many times. I have quit drinking 1,000 times. When I was smoking cigarette, I quit every day. When I was using, every time I got broke and in remorse, I quit. Yes, sir. This program is about allowing a power greater than us to remove the obsession to use. Yes. It's not a quitting program. It's about allowing a power greater than us to remove the obsession to use. Wow. And if you're standing in here, gritting your teeth, holding on, keep coming back. Because you still want to quit. Then it goes on and says, we shall describe some of the mental states, that's what I've been doing, that precede a relapse into drinking. For obviously this is the crux of the problem. The main point of our problem centers in our mind. If we get our minds right, you don't have to worry about the allergy because you can practice total abstinence and never put it in. That makes sense? You don't have to worry about the formula, because we're going to get the mind right. All right.
What sort of thinking dominates an alcoholic who repeats time after time the desperate experiment of the first drink? Friends who have reasoned with him after a spree which has brought him to the point of divorce or bankruptcy are mystified when he walks directly into a saloon. Why does he? Or what is he thinking?
They're going to answer these questions. But I never forget, I've been married. This is my second marriage. But both women, the first one and the second, I think I do like long time relationship. You know what I'm trying to say? 15 years and 20 years. My first wife, I've been married to this one, like my wife now, Martha, like what, maybe 17, 18 years. Right, Ken? I don't know. How many? Yeah. No, Martha, no, I'm just joking. She know. See, I just want to get y'all involved. Well, my point is a long time. 18 years, to be exact. A long time. My first wife, I think it was 10 years. 10 or 12. 10 years. But I remember something that she wanted a divorce because of my drinking. She wanted a divorce. She said I drank too much and I was violent and I was talking a lot of crap and just crazy. Now that's a necessity if you love somebody to want to quit, right?
Yeah.
You should want to quit and make up and rekindle the family. We did have kids. My sick mind, if you gonna leave me because I was drinking, I'm gonna show you some drinking. I'm free now. Cause I was trying to get home, you know what I'm saying? I was trying to do right. But now you gone, I can do what I want to do now. I'm free to drink up Peru. That was my thinking. It had nothing to do with trying to get back and be normal. It was like, you gonna go because I'm drinking? I'll show you some drinking. Pass me some more bottles. That was my thinking. I never thought about trying to get back together or nothing. That makes sense? It gave me freedom to do what I need to do. Sick. Go ahead, do Jim. This is gonna be a story about a guy named Jim.
There you go.
All right, now we're gonna break it down.
Here we go.
I like the stories.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to say earlier. We're supposed to tell our stories. That makes sense? That's what saved people's lives.
Our first example is a friend we should call Jim. This man has a charming wife and family. He inherited a lucrative automobile agency. He had a commendable World War record. He is a good salesman. Everybody likes him. He is an intelligent man, normal so far as we can see, except for a nervous disposition. He did no drinking until he was 35. In a few years, he became so violent when intoxicated that he had to be committed. On leaving the asylum, he came into contact with us.
Keep going. Do his whole story, then I'll go back.
We told him what we knew of alcoholism and the answer we had found. He made a beginning. His family was real simple, and he began to work as a salesman for the business he had lost through drinking. All went well for a time, but he failed to enlarge his spiritual life. To his consternation, he found himself drunk half a dozen times in rapid succession. On each of these occasions, we worked with him, reviewing carefully what had happened. He agreed he was a real alcoholic and in a serious condition, and he knew he faced another trip to the asylum if he kept on. Moreover, he would lose his family, for whom he had a deep affection.
Keep going.
Yet he got drunk again. We asked him to tell us exactly how it happened. This is his story. I came to work on Tuesday morning. I remember I felt irritated that I had to be a salesman for a concern I once owned. I had a few words with the boss, but nothing serious. Then I decided to Then I decided to drive into the country and see one of my prospects for a car. On the way, I felt hungry, so I stopped at a roadside place where they have a bar. I had no intention of drinking. I just thought I would get a sandwich. I also had a notion that I might find a customer for a car at this place, which was familiar, for I had been going to it for years. I had eaten there many times during the months I was sober. I sat down at a table and ordered a sandwich and a glass of milk. Still no thought of drinking. I ordered another sandwich and decided to have another glass of milk. Suddenly the thought crossed my mind that if I were to put an ounce of whiskey in my milk, it couldn't hurt me on a full stomach. I ordered a whiskey and poured it into the milk. I vaguely sensed I was not being any too smart, but felt reassured as I was taking the whiskey on a full stomach. The experiment went so well that I ordered another whiskey and poured it into more milk. That didn't seem to bother me, so I tried another. Thus started one more journey to the asylum for Jim. Here was the threat of commitment, the loss of family and position, to say nothing of that intense mental and physical suffering which drinking always caused him. He had much knowledge about himself as an alcoholic. Yet all reasons for not drinking were easily pushed aside in favor of the foolish idea that he could take whiskey if only he mixed it with milk.
All right, let's go back and let's break them down. Our first example, it's going to be more than one example. I think it's Jim and Fred. You know, I like this study because I could tell people kind of like study ahead. They're in front of me. So if I say something like Jim, they're okay, let's go. They already done did their homework. They ready. I like that. I like that. I used to do my homework before I went to the book study. So when the instructor got up there to talk about it, all I got was confirmation for what I was thinking. And then I got added information for what I wasn't thinking. My mind wasn't behind, it was in front. That makes sense? Our first example is a friend we should call Jim. This man has a charming wife and family. He inherited a lucrative automobile agency. What someone had died that would inherit it means they own this property or this car company, and they passed it ownership over to him. He owns it, correct?
Right.
He had a commendable World War record. He got honored in war. That's some character.
Okay.
He was a good salesman. Everybody liked him. He is an intelligent man, normal so far as we can see, that's on the outside, except for a nervous disposition. Now you got somebody looking on the outside and saying, he's all right, he's intelligent, but he's something. You know, he got that nervous disposition going on. We all know what that is. He did no drinking until he was 35. In a few years, he became so violent, you can circle that word violent, when intoxicated, that he had to be committed to a treatment facility or asylum, which is the same thing to me, or mental health, I don't know. But he had to be committed somewhere. He was taken out of society and put into some type of facility, correct? For his drinking. On leaving the asylum, he came into contact with us. We're talking about AA, the 12 steppers. All right? He came, I like to say the 12 steppers, because it's a little different today. He came into contact with people who do the 12 steps. That makes sense? Or AA. We told him what we knew of alcoholism and the answer we had found. We told him right up front about the allergy. Step one. We told him that we got a step one, that we got a problem. Right? It's mental and physical. The reason I keep putting it back on the board, because when y'all go to your home groups and stuff like that, you'll have an ideal. It don't have to be identical to mine, but you'll have an ideal. That makes sense? Yeah. Let me tell y'all the story about this real fast. I used to do this all the time. It came to me to put it up like this. Then I went and saw Joe and Charlie. And they got up on the board and did the same thing. I didn't even know these men. Okay. The same thing. I was like, wow. That's spiritual. That makes sense? A mental obsession, this is what they told Jim, and a physical allergy. They told him if he put any drink in his body, the allergy is a physical craving. He would develop a phenomenal craving. His body would crave for more and more and more alcohol if he put any into his body. They told him he had a mental obsession. It's going to be a thought that's going to override all normal thinking. And once he did that, he's going to end up in remorse. They told him this with a firm resolution never to do it again. They told him this. That's the cycle of addiction. They explained it to him. They broke it down to him. All right. So it said, we told him what we knew of alcoholism and the answer we have found. The answer is total abstinence, and the ideal that you can drink and drug like other people have to be smashed. That's what they told him. They gave him this information in treatment. He made a good beginning. In the 12 steps, I'm going to teach you this later, the 12 steps is step 1, 2, and 3 is what we call the beginning steps. So evidently, he did step 1, 2, and 3. That makes sense? He did a step 1, a step 2, and 3. And for him, says he made a good beginning. His family was reassembled, and he began to work as a salesman for the business he had lost through drinking. Uh-oh. All went well for a time, but he failed to enlarge his spiritual life. What that means is all he did was step 1, 2, and 3, and he did not do the rest of the steps. So he failed to enlarge his spiritual life. The first thing in a 4th step is resentments. Yeah. That's the first thing you deal with in the 4th step is anger, resentments. He didn't do that. To his consternation, he found himself drunk 6 times in a row. On each of these occasions, we worked with him. They kept working with him, reviewing carefully what had happened. You know, when I was studying that and I was reading that, and I was saying, wow, we kind of blessed in Step Up. In this organization, we're blessed. I know in the last 6 months or so, maybe a little bit longer, we ain't had no relapse, have we? We don't have that many relapses in this organization. I can tell y'all that. I can tell